Hey, what's going on, champs? I'm Aaron Deliosa. Welcome to An Immigrant's Life, my podcast about immigrants, immigration, and everything in between. Today we have a special guest, and I'm not gonna lie, I was really shocked when she said yes to do this podcast. But what really shocked me most is when she said yes to marry my friend Jason, because clearly she's out of his league. She is the general's daughter, the queen of Sweden, Tracey Young.
Wow, what an intro.
I practiced that for a week. So, Tracey Young, please introduce yourself.
My name is Tracey. And no, I was actually interested when you asked me to be part of the podcast. I thought it was a really cool idea. And I love talking about my time in Sweden. So for me, it was like an easy thing to talk about. It's an easy hour.
Funny because before I even started this podcast or even think of doing a podcast, you're one of the people that I wanted to talk to because of the Sweden thing. Like, how can a person do that? I can't do that. You know, I'm a wimp.
I don't know. If we compare stories, I think you did quite something.
I did all right. So, quickly, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
And family, mom, dad?
Family. So, my mom's adopted, so we actually don't know where she is actually from. She was adopted when she was a baby, so everything, all of her adoption certificate shows Canada. And my dad was born in Montreal, same as us, except his dad was adopted as well. So we have a lot of adopted people in our family. So it's really interesting to figure out one day. I would love to know where they're from.
That is cool. Yeah. There's a comedian, he has a joke about adopted kids that he says he was chosen. He didn't just come out from mom. He was chosen by mom.
That's true.
Something like that. I'm just
That's a good way to look at it, for sure.
Yeah. So you had a good childhood?
Yeah, regular 1980s upbringing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we wake up and go outside and come back for lunch, go back outside.
Pretty much, huh?
Yeah. No tech for us.
So you're here because I want to talk about your Sweden trip. Actually, it's more than a trip, right? I want to know what motivated you to go to Sweden.
Actually, it was funny. I was in going to my last year of university. I remember I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking back and I'm like, this is my last year. And I feel like all I did was I studied, and then I was working because I was putting myself through university. And I was like, even though, I still went out and stuff, but I didn't join I would hear people that joined like an association, or they were part of like this club or something that was part of like the big university life. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm in my last year and then that's it. I'm not going to continue on for school at the time is what I was thinking. And I said, I want to do something. I want to do something amazing that's, that relates to going to university. And so I actually saw a posting just on the wall, and it said exchange students. And it was just like I don't know, it was just like one of those like just at Concordia University. There was a posting on the wall, and I took the paper and I was like, honestly, it was totally out of my element, I guess you could say. I was pretty shy actually, like growing up and even in university. And I wouldn't be one of those people that would just go off on my own. It just, I would probably ask someone to, like, I would be with somebody or something, And so I talked about it, and my boyfriend at the time, he's like, you have to do it. I remember we were actually at a football game, at Alouettes game, I think it was. And he's like, you have to do it. And for him, things were so easy. He was a stand-up comedian at the time. And so for him, he was just like, do it. And it's just, you go away for 6 months and then you come back. It's like, for him, he's like, it's not that big of a deal, just go for it, He's like, apply and see what happens. So I applied for the program, And you were,
So how do you apply for the program? Like, is there an office that you have to go?
yeah, there was actually a student exchange office at Concordia.
Oh, okay.
And you got to pick from, gosh, so many countries like Australia, New Zealand, Germany, China, Mexico, like anywhere in the world. And so just that in itself was overwhelming. I was like, where do you go? I like, you feel like, my God, I have the chance to go anywhere. So hopefully if they accept me, because the university still has to accept you.
And what are the criteria for you to be accepted?
If I remember, because it's going back to 2003, but it was, I think it was mostly grades, just the equivalency of grades to,
Really? Okay. It's not
yeah.
like you haven't killed anyone. You're like, you never been in jail or anything crazy.
I'm sure I filled out something on those lines.
I'm sure.
I feel like someone even had to vouch for me and sign that they know me and something, but yeah, so yeah, I applied and it took months. Like it was getting to the point I was freaking out that I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't get in, because you were allowed to put 3 universities and I only put 2.
What are those 2 choices?
So I picked my first one was Lund University in Sweden. And the second one was Trinity University in Ireland, in Dublin.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're perfect there.
Yeah.
White skin, blonde hair, you're perfect. You don't want to go to the brown skin people or anything like that.
You know what's funny? I there were some countries I wanted to go to, and I was like, I thought of Australia, and then I was too afraid of spiders and snakes.
Oh my God.
So I didn't pick it. It's like, I don't know by myself. I'm not ready for it.
It's like in your head, Australia is covered with spiders.
I was like, no.
So you applied. How did you tell your parents?
I came home and told them I was going to apply, and they thought it was great. They were super excited and encouraging, and yeah, they were really happy, and they were more just interested where I was going to go. I had traveled to Europe before when I was in high school. Our last year of high school, we did the European trip, so I had like a very minimal view of Europe, but to live there by myself, it would be very different. But they were super supportive. They're really, yeah, it was really great.
So you did that like 2 weeks trip for high school or something like that?
Yeah. I saw it all. Yeah. You don't appreciate it when you're 16, you don't appreciate it.
No, nothing. You don't appreciate anything.
You're just excited to be on your own with some friends. So yeah, but it took months that I was getting nervous that I wasn't going to get in. And I was like, oh man, maybe I should have put, and the third option, I was like, get in.
Do you think that matters, your grade? Why they took them months to decide, or it was just the process?
Well, it's just they only pick one student from Quebec.
No way.
Yeah, so some universities will pick multiple. Some will pick like only one in certain areas, or they'll pick like a certain amount of exchange students. So I was getting nervous that maybe someone else picked it and I had competition or something. And then I had applied, so I was already in my semester of fall, and I applied for the winter. It would have been my last semester. And I think I finally got my acceptance letter. I think it was like November. And I think it was mid-November, and I had to book everything. I was like, oh my gosh.
Like now?
Yeah, I'm like, I am going to be there. It says I have to be there I remember January 7th. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get a...
You must be stoked when you got it.
Yeah, I was freaking. I think it was one of those that you can't wait to get the answer. And then when you get it, you're like, oh my, wow, I can't go to Sweden.
I had that feeling when we were applying to come here to Canada, and finally the visa came, and we're like, oh, I have a few months to wait, right? Like I don't have to go, even though I've been waiting since I was young to move somewhere else.
Yeah, and then the shocker comes, that you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want change. I don't think I want change now, and I changed my mind.
You're a strong woman. I don't think I will ever do that, something like that. That's crazy.
What's funny is like I found it one of the things that sticks the most is you have culture shock when you go to another country.
Yep.
And then it's like reverse culture shock because you got used to that country and their ways. And now to come back to where you're from, you're like totally different, that you're not ready to come back after. It was
Of
very
course.
strange.
I understand that. Let's talk about that further on. I want to focus on your trip from Montreal to Sweden. Obviously, you were by yourself. It's not your first time going on a plane, as you mentioned, but where are you going to stay? Do you have a plan? Like, how does it work?
Well, so one of the reasons I really love this university is because it was really geared to exchange students. So they had a really good, strong program. So they were setting me up with housing. And what is nice, when you go on an exchange program, I was entitled to a bursary by the government. So the government would give me a payment every month, which helped for my living expenses. Yeah, so that was really nice too. So all I knew is that I had somewhere to stay. And when I landed in Sweden, in Lund, that I just was advised where to go at almost like an information center at the school. And I was advised to go there and I would get all the information. So I kind of went and had no clue where I was going to live. I just knew I was really trusting that they had everything set up for me. And now that I think back, I'm like, I could have got there and it wasn't set up. Like maybe it'd be disorganized.
You're like one of those girls from Taken being like sold for slavery. And
I know, and now I have kids and I'm thinking, I don't know do I want them to go on their own? I don't know.
So when you landed, you went straight to the university?
Yeah. So actually, I am not good with direction whatsoever, which is, it's funny enough, the field that I work in is logistics and I don't know. And I often get lost at a lot of places. So thank goodness for Google Maps now. So to get to Sweden, you have to, I had to fly into Heathrow. And then from Heathrow, you have to take a connecting, there's not one flight that will just go direct to Sweden. And at least not at the time. So I got to Heathrow, and when I connected to my next flight, all you saw on the runway was all luggage scattered. There was like a very small snowstorm, like a snowstorm that we would probably laugh about here, that we would be like, oh, it's just a sprinkle of snow, it's no big deal. There was luggage everywhere. So, and I had a massive backpack of 6 months worth of clothes and everything. Like I packed as much as I could, right? And so from there, I take another flight, and then I land in Denmark. And from Denmark, I had to take a train to get to Lund. My parents to this day are amazed that I made it. and so I was super exhausted by the time I got there. I remember getting there at night.
How long was the trip?
Probably about, with everything and the delays at the airport for the connecting flight, I would say a good 11 hours. Yeah. And I was super nervous. Like I broke up with my boyfriend of 5 years.
The guy that pushed you to go?
Yeah. Yeah. We broke up because we're like, I'm going to Sweden. It was just, we were like, we'll probably get back together when I get back. And so I was a bit of a mess, and like, it was just crazy. I remember being at the airport thinking, what am I doing? Like, what am I? Oh, it's crazy. I don't know.
Do you think it was his ploy to get rid of you?
Maybe. Send her to Sweden. See what happens.
Like, go away, and then she's gonna figure out that, oh, we're gonna be separated. Maybe. That's just my twisted mind. So you're like in the movies there, like a woman just broke up, going to somewhere.
Even at the airport, I remember my friend made me all kinds of like cookies and stuff, and it was all in my my carry-on. And then they start going through my carry-on at customs, And I was like, and I was crying. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I remember my big focus was like, you're not going to take my cookies. Are you?
The cookies. She cared about the cookies. Take everything. Take the cocaine. Take everything. Just not the cookies.
I need those. I'm going to need those in like 12 hours.
That's so funny. So you got to Lind, and where did you head to? Is there a house?
So then I got to, I took the train from Denmark. And then someone must have, if I remember right, they must have met us at the train station, which wasn't far from the university. And now that I think of it, they must have had people there all day, all night until last flights were coming in, because there were people coming in from all different countries. The exchange students had to be there 2 weeks before school started because we had to take a Swedish course to learn some Swedish.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, they speak fluent English, I know, but the main language is Swedish?
Yeah.
And do you still remember some of the words?
Oh, you know what? I only remember the bad words, probably. I remember how to say hi, though. Hi is hezan.
Hizan?
Or you could say hey, hey. Oh, it sounds like they're singing. But
were they wearing those Swedish clothing, like you know the
not at
typical
all.
ones?
And you know what? I laughed even because everyone kept saying I was going to meet someone named Sven. And my whole 6 months, I met one Sven. It wasn't as popular as I thought.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I guess everybody thought it was like the Mark or like Paul or the usual name.
Yeah, there was a lot of Karens. A lot of Karens.
Karen?
Yeah.
Really?
I would never have thought that, but I met a lot of Swedish.
Like Karen or like in a weird spell?
Karin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's more like Karen. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the train brought you to the university again?
Yeah, so they brought us to the university and you kind of like check in with the university. And then the guy, because the university grounds for the housing was huge, the guy brought me we left by bus. It was the only time I ever took a bus in Sweden. He brought me I ended up in an apartment. So they had all kinds of dorms, but I ended up in an apartment, which at first I was super upset about.
Why?
Because then I thought I'm not going to meet anyone. I thought if I'm in a dorm, at least I'll meet like other students and stuff. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be super isolated here. And so he brought me there and then he leaves and I have no idea where I am. Like, it's nighttime and I'm thinking he told me I have to be at the Swedish course the next day and he gave me a map. And I had no cell phone at the time. This was 2003, which, yeah, there were cell phones, but I wasn't, I'm not a huge techie too. So there was no cell phone. I had no laptop. I had no way of telling my parents I arrived.
Oh my God. They must be like so worried.
They were going out of their mind. My brother-in-law now he didn't sleep at all. I remember my sister saying he was like losing his mind. He's like, how come she's not calling? And I actually tried to find a phone booth, which still existed back then. And their phone booths, you needed a special Swedish card. So I couldn't just call collect. You needed still a card. And all the stores to open for the cards were the next day. So I had no choice. I couldn't call them.
Oh, yeah, the cards. Yeah, we used to have it too when we used to call Philippines. We have to buy, I think, like $10 for an hour.
Yeah. So the next day I was able to do that. But so he drops me off. My street name, even the next morning, I'm realizing now where I'm living. And my street name was like about 30 letters long. It was super, super long. And I ended up, I didn't take the bus to school. I said, I'm going to try to walk. On the map. It looked like pretty straightforward. So
Was it close?
It was, it actually wasn't that close as I thought. I ended up finding out that to get around in Sweden, your best way is a bicycle. So my mission was to find a bicycle, which which you ended up, I met through some Swedish students, and they hooked me up with a bike, and the bikes there are not like bikes that we're seeing here. They're like super old school bikes with baskets. Like the bigger the basket on the bike, the better, because everyone's bike riding. There was like no cars where I was living. I don't remember. I don't remember passing many cars in that town. There was like buses, and there were bike paths to everything.
You said you walked to the university to enroll in a class, or
Well, the first 2 weeks, it was all set up for us. We had every morning you had a Swedish course for 2 hours, and then they give all the Swedish students like a schedule of. They had like events every day that you could go to. Oh, and then I had to choose my courses for the semester.
Okay.
So that wasn't done yet. So I had to, and there was funny, like every course you took, you had to go to a different building to register for the course. Like you didn't just go online and register. Like I actually had to, okay, I'm going to go take a marketing class. I got to go find the marketing department. And like, it was really different.
But you find it interesting, obviously, and challenging.
Yeah, their semesters were so different. Like here, you take a full semester is 4 classes. There, a full semester is also 4, but you take 2 in January, February, and then 2 in March, April. January, February, bit of March, you take 2 classes, and then you take the other 2 in the end of March, April, May. So you're only taking 2 classes at a time for a full-time course load. And they're like an hour and a half a week. So you have a lot of spare time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that in Sweden for kids, they only like do 3 hours of school.
Oh, really? Eh?
Something like that, something ridiculous that like so low. And then after that, they'll just, I don't know where they go after because the parents has to work, right?
Well, even their exams, like you could keep doing until you're satisfied with your grade. You could keep doing it.
No way.
Yeah. If I did the test today and I just bombed it, and I could go back and take the test again. They'll take the best mark.
Till you learn, eh?
Yeah. I was like, really? Wow, that's different. And everything was open book.
Did you take advantage of that?
No, I didn't. I did. Actually, the courses were really pretty good. So I didn't, and 2 courses at a time when you're so used to scrambling while working and doing 4 classes, it didn't seem too tough. Like it wasn't.
So you mentioned you made some friends. I was going to ask, like, how easy was it for you to make friends? You said you were a very quiet, individual.
Yeah. And the first few days when I was in Sweden, honestly, I was like counting down the days to come back home. And I was like, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. And then if I'm miserable, that's it.
Oh, there's an eject button. You could actually like, I'm done.
I'm done. I'm going back home.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So then I think it was by like the 3rd day, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to an event tonight, and I'm gonna just plunge myself. And I was thinking, oh my God, it's gonna be like mortifying. And I remember the event was taste test of all their dairy products.
It's so Swedish.
That was like one of the events. It was that, and then after it was like a barbecue. It was super weird. But in Sweden, there's a lot of different, like they have sour milk, and then they have regular milk. They have like a ton of like sour milk is almost considered like a special delicacy, and they love their milk, and their yogurt comes in a milk carton, and you pour it because they pour it on their cereal. So it's very different. Going to the grocery store was like fascinating. It was so different.
So that's like a culture shock to you, obviously, food.
That was like a field trip for me, just going to the grocery store. I could be there for hours trying to figure out what the food was. Everything that's Swedish, I'm like, what is this? I don't know what it is.
Did you ask anyone?
Oh yeah, sometimes. I found after the longer I was there, the more I don't know, extrovert I was becoming. It was almost, my dad said I got the gift of gab while I was there. Maybe I just, I wasn't shy. The shyness was going away because you're so used to not knowing anyone, that I became no longer shy at all. And everyone speaks so well in English, like nothing was ever a problem. So
Yeah, because of your necessity of I need to figure out something, and if I don't open my mouth, I will starve to death.
yeah, and I had the typical Swedish like the Swedish dictionary to see like what is that, like even their soup looked like sausages. Like they package it, all their soup, they package it in like almost like a sausage casing, it looks like. So for us, like the first time you look at it, you wouldn't think it's soup.
And you have to cut it and then put it in a pot
And then
heat
squeeze
it
it
up
out and it goes in a pot.
like a paste.
Yeah.
Those Swedes, man, they're very efficient.
Very efficient. Yeah. Yeah. So
They don't fool around.
I went to that, and then I actually, they club you together. So they put all the exchange students in different groups, and you're groups of 10. So the next night I went on something and met all the exchange students in my group, and I became very close friends with a lot of them. I actually speak to some of them still.
It was easy for you to make friends.
Yeah. Once we were in the group, the university did a very good job to help you, to get comfortable. And it was a group of all students from different countries. So it was easier to get to know someone because everyone was kind of in the same boat as I was, no one knew anyone. So it made it easier, I guess, less stress.
Yeah. Most of them came from?
Well, I mean, there was a lot in general from Europe. There was just my group alone. I had someone from New Zealand, Austria, Germany, France, Switzerland, Australia. We were mixed from everywhere. And each group had like 3 mentors, Swedish mentors that were kind of there to, I don't know, take you out or if you had questions or anything like that.
Were they cute guys?
No, they're all girls, actually.
What?
I didn't have any mentor guys. Some groups did. I didn't. I was with all the Karens. 2 of them were named Karen, I remember. Yeah.
No way. Karen want to.
Yeah. It's funny. One of them got married to a guy in my group. Yeah. So he was from New Zealand and she is from Sweden. And they're married and they go back and forth. They live for a bit in New Zealand and then they live for a bit in Sweden.
Mm-hmm. Were they students? What's the word you used? I forgot. You said it, like the people that takes care of you.
Oh, the mentors?
That's it. The mentor. I'm sorry. The mentor.
Yeah, they were students too. And they're great. I don't know if I just got lucked out because some groups kind of just dissolved and people didn't talk to each other. But our group was really, I don't know, connected. We hung out a lot.
And they live close by you or they live in the university?
So you kind of had like 2 sides of town, and the ones that I was very close to lived more in the center of town. So they were in student corridors. So I was often at their place because they lived in dorms. So a lot of them lived in the same dorms and stuff. And in the end, though, I ended up really liking that I had an apartment because sometimes if I just wanted to come home, like I could and it was quiet. Whereas the dorms, if there's a party, like you're up, like it's
Yeah, you have no choice but to party.
Yeah, or so I kind of liked having the little escape when I wanted, and it was good. Yeah.
Obviously, you were a foreign student. Did you feel any prejudice towards you being Canadian and all that?
No, if anything, they loved it. I put a big Canadian flag on my Concordia bag, and they would always they would call me Miss Formula One.
Why?
I don't know. All the Europeans, like the minute they found out I was from Montreal, they were like Formula One.
That's so weird. Formula One. What?
I don't know.
Well, so, I mean, obviously we have the F1 here, right?
Yeah. But it's not just here, right? So, but they were, that's what all the guys there,
call you Miss Formula One.
Yeah. But we're honestly, the minute they find out we were Canadian, because there's another girl there who was Canadian too, yeah, people were so nice.
Why do you think they're nice there? They're famous for being nice. I mean, Canadians are nice, but I feel like it's Swedish people versus Canadian for niceness. I feel
They're
like.
so honest. I couldn't. There were certain systems like they have of even in the student restaurants that you go and it's like complete honor system that they trust that you're going to pay. You walk in and you go at the other end of the restaurant and you pay for your fork and knife, let's say. And it was a student restaurant, so it's like, that day this is what they're serving, right? And no one collects money otherwise. They just trust that you went and you paid for your cutlery. Yeah, like I just found them so honest.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and very polite. And even in lineups, which they would call the queue, no one would be stressed or angry. It could be the longest lineup ever trying to get into like a bar or something. And they're very just chill.
And by the way, there was no smartphone. So if you're standing in line, you are standing in line waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned bars. So did you go out a lot or you focus on just studying?
Yeah, no, I went out a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. Like my mom, she would have she had access to my credit card statements, She was managing my money that I would get from my bursary and stuff. She would just make like payments on my credit card for me through my account. It was just easier that way. And one day she was like, "What is this system balaget?" And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that's the library." And she's like, "Uh-huh." She's like, "You're there a lot." And it was like their SAQ, I guess. So you go there because where I was living, you can't buy a case of beer. Everything's individual and you can't buy it at a grocery store.
What do you mean individual? Like one bottle?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no like boxes of beers.
No, you just buy like all individual beers and you can't buy them at the grocery store. So there's this like one store, the System Balaget, that you go to and that's why you need a big basket on your bike. That's why.
By the way, just a note, you went there so much that you still remember it.
Right? Like, I still remember that and I remember my street. I lived on Sharmasvägen.
Shammerswagen.
Yeah.
How many J's are there? K and J's.
The K threw me off because I didn't know that the K was pronounced with a sh. So whenever in the beginning, when I was first there and I was trying to get home from school the first day, I was completely lost and it was dark out and I kept asking people where it is. And they're like, I guess they don't pronounce anything with a K there. And they're like, I don't know where you're going. Like, I don't know where I'm going either.
You didn't write it down or anything?
Yeah, that's what I had to. Thankfully, I did have it written down after. So, yeah.
How was the weather?
The weather was, it's so interesting in Sweden. So where I was, it was the southern part of Sweden. And in January, February, it's kind of dark. Like it's dark by 3 o'clock, I would say. The winter, there's not as much sunlight, but it's not super cold. Like it's a little bit of snow, but I biked all winter.
Even winter?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I just biked. It was kind of like slushy, I guess. And when you hit like May, June, it's like the sun is out still at 10 o'clock at night. So you could go out and you're like, what time is it? And you leave the bar at, let's say 3 in the morning and the sun is already out. Like it's
and
crazy.
You all got messed up.
Oh yeah. The spring and summer, it's so bright.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just dark in the winter, but yeah, that was okay.
And how long did you stay in Sweden?
I was there from January to June.
January to June. Okay. Yeah. That's 6 months?
Yeah.
I'm not good with math, by the way. I'm terrible. I'm Asian, but I'm terrible with math.
Yeah, I was there 6 months.
And you mentioned earlier that when you came back, you suffered from reverse culture shock. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my mom actually came to meet me at the end of the semester.
She flew there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she flew there, and we traveled for about, I think it was like a 2 weeks. It ended up being that we traveled in Europe. We did just a couple of days in Sweden, and then we left and we went to Ireland, and we went to London as well. And I remember feeling so nervous to come home because I really enjoyed my friends that were there, but they were going to go home too. And the life was different there. It wasn't so busy. It was. I also really enjoyed, though. I went from working a lot, like working part time, and also being in
Oh,
full
you
time.
work.
When I was in Canada before I went to Sweden, I was so used to like not having as many breaks, I guess, like studying a lot and working. And so when I went to Sweden, it was like, I don't have to work. The government's actually giving me money on a bursary, and I only have 2 classes a semester, so that's easy. And it was just like a party, honestly. It was so it like when I think back now, it like that wasn't going to be real life. Like it was eventually, even if I lived in Sweden, I'm going to have to get a job, and I'm going to, it would still become like home. I would still end up having to work and stuff down the road. So it was just, I guess it was a mix of everything of, oh, now I'm going to go back home. Life's going to be different. Are my friends going to be fun? Because these friends are so fun. And it's super busy at home. I remember when I got home, crossing the street, I was like, I remember my friend saying, "Okay, let's go, Trey. Let's just cross the street." And I'm like, "Oh no, we have to wait. We have to wait for him to like signal us." She's like, "Are you from Montreal? Because we're not going to wait till they signal us. We're just gonna go."
So, I'm assuming in Sweden, they actually stop and let you go.
Oh yeah, if they see you there, like they will come to a full stop in the middle of the road. Yeah, super polite.
So, I mean, we're polite, but they're like extra polite.
Not to say Montrealers aren't polite, but it's busier here. It's very metropolitan city. So yeah.
Even in the city, they were polite?
Yeah, even in Stockholm. I went to Stockholm, and I would say that was their busiest city, but it still wouldn't I find it wouldn't compare busy to Montreal. Like it but yeah, no, it was actually it was so beautiful in Stockholm. Everything's gold. There's like the bridge is gold. Everything looks like it's made of gold. It's really beautiful.
Is it true that men and women there are like first round picks, gorgeous looking 10?
The men are so pretty. Like they're just like, I remember they had like the scarves, and yeah, they're very like everything was perfect,
Really? Even the women?
Women are very pretty. Yeah.
Like the normal person that you see is like 10 if you bring that person in Montreal.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't see one overweight person that I remember. I was fascinated by how in shape people are.
Do they exercise a lot or because of the food?
A lot of outdoors, I think. They exercise a lot.
Okay.
It's so much land too. Like they'll like constantly the Swedish people I met, they would be on bike rides or they're jogging, or like it was like a regular thing in their routines would be outdoor exercising.
How about diet?
I remember like they eat a lot of fish. They eat pretty well, actually, now that I think back.
So the reverse culture shock, how long did it last for you?
When I came back, well, I had really great friends that tried to like keep the excitement going. So that was good. It didn't take long, but I still had the itch to go back. So I actually went back to visit my friend in Austria. It was about 5 months after I came home. I think I had gone to see her in October. I came home in June and I went to see her in October.
So you went back?
Yeah.
For a visit. But now, do you plan on going back again to visit?
I would love for Jay to go. I want him to see Europe. He's never been at all, so it'd be cool.
Yeah, Jay's not a culture guy, okay? We know this.
He's getting into it though. He's getting now he has Portugal and Spain on his head.
I love him to death, but he's not cultured.
I'm going to make him cultured.
Yeah, I know. That's what I tell him
I
all the
surprise
time.
him when we can travel again.
Oh, yeah, I know.
One day he'll come.
What if you have an opportunity to move your family in Sweden? Would you do it?
You know what? I wouldn't even think it now because finding a job in Sweden is very hard. Like I remember,
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I remember a lot of the students there. They were applying for jobs because a lot of them were finishing university that semester as well, and they were getting jobs like in different countries, and it was so interesting to watch them because they were like, oh, I got a job opportunity to go work in London, or I have a job opportunity here. And I was like, oh, you can't. And they said, no, there's the job market in Sweden, they said, is not great. It's not an overpopulated area. Like each city, especially when you get to the northern part of Sweden, it's not as much opportunity, I guess.
It's very saturated, the work.
Yeah, so a lot of them were going to different countries. They were applying everywhere, and it's fun to watch them because there's no anxiety. Yeah, no, I applied to Germany, and I applied to in the UK and Italy, and like they're like all over the place, and they're like, what? And then I'll go there for a year or something. And like it was like nothing.
No pressure.
No, they're all like, yeah, no, it's fine. Like it's like. Whereas here, I don't know, I was having anxiety going there for 6 months, and for them, they were just really chill about it. It's so nice to have that mentality. I'm an overthinker sometimes. Like I'll think of every scenario that could happen, and it's not a great trait to have that.
It's good and bad. It's good and bad. You have to think, right? You can't like just I wonder if I can afford to go to Sweden and then go to Portugal after. And then after you're like broke. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it doesn't.
exactly. Yeah, when I came home, I had to go back to work and pay off some debts.
But you said the government's paying you off. How did it work?
But it's expensive to live in Sweden. And I traveled a bit while I was there too, because I wanted to see, like I went to Norway, Finland, Denmark, like I did those while I was in school, and Germany. I went to Belgium, and then my trip with my mom. So yeah, when I came home, I still had to pay off. That's why the last thing for me to do would be to go back and spend more money to go and visit a friend. And but I did anyway. I was living with my parents at least at home, so it wasn't as much pressure.
And I'm pretty sure there's no regret.
No,
Exactly.
not at all. I'm so happy I did that. And actually, when I came home, my cousin, because he was living with my parents at the time, and I was so excited about the experience. He was in university, and he applied for an exchange student as well. And he went the semester after I got back. He went to Poland, and he is married to a Polish lady, and they live here now.
That's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah. So
I just want to ask you, what's the best lesson you learned from traveling?
From traveling is, I think, to be open to a new adventure, be open to meeting people. That's something I really brought back when I did come home. I met, I look at my husband, Jay. I ended up just talking to him just like that. One night I was looking for someone to go. I really wanted to go rock climbing, just on the walls, rock climbing. I've never gone before. And I was looking for someone that would, and he was at the bar that he was working at. And I had never spoken to him before. And I just randomly started talking to him. I'm like, oh, I'm looking for someone to go rock climbing with. He's like, I'd totally go rock climbing. I'm like, okay, we haven't gone yet. It's only been 15 years that we're together. But
You never did it?
No, we actually finally bought he bought me at Christmas a gift card to go rock climbing last Christmas, and we were gonna go in the spring, and then just as shutdown from COVID, we were going to go. So we still have that pass. So we hope that they didn't close down. As we're like, man, there's something against us going rock climbing. I don't know.
I want to ask you, you touched on this a little quickly, but I want to expand it. Would you let your kids move to another country? Like do what you did or move?
I would push them to do it. I've already told Jay that. I said both kids, I'm going to encourage them so much to, I don't know, I think the world is so large and there's so much to see that I would love for them to experience that. And just I find university life, it goes so quickly. And then when it's over, you have to you're almost pushed to that. Well, now I have to grow up and I got to get my career going in this. And so you only have that small opportunity to just really have fun and enjoy. And not that you don't enjoy when you're an adult, but then the responsibilities start, So I would really push them to, whether it's they want to explore our country, which is also really large, or if they just want to take that leap and try and exchange, I would be really supportive of it for sure. And then I would meet them, and then it gives me an opportunity to go somewhere. I would follow them.
So I think we did it. I think we got it all. I want to thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any final remark or anything would you like to say?
No, I guess if anyone's, if anyone's having that like thought of going somewhere, do it. If you want to take the chance of making a change or doing something you're passionate about, you have to take it.
Yeah, wise words from a wise woman.
Thanks so much. The hour went really quickly, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again, Tracey, for doing the show. I also want to thank the listeners for listening and downloading the show. If you want to know more about the podcast, or if you want to start or join a conversation about our topics, please head to my Facebook page, An Immigrant's Life Podcast. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me through the Facebook page or send an email to animmigrant'slife@yahoo.com. If you'd like to support the show, please like, share, review, and subscribe.